and welcome to the Desi Outsiders podcast. I'm Meenal.
And I'm Ankita.
And this week we bring you the true definition of feminism that we plucked straight out of an article by one of our writers. We also gave you 5 different Desi scenarios which are quite common in most homes and classrooms. However, we feel that practicing feminism could have saved all the victims in those situations. So without further ado, let's jump right into the show. So we want to start off this episode with some very happy news. We've recruited 2 new members into our Feminism India team, and they're also going to be contributing articles every week from now on. Our first writer is Aarti Motiani, and she's an engineering student who loves poetry and writing. She will mainly be contributing to our forum through her poetry, because we feel that our values and ideals can and should be expressed through as many mediums of art as possible.
That's right. And our other new writer is Claire Zachariah, who is a freelance content writer. And you can find her online through her personal blog, vocalpendulum.wordpress.com, where she records her views and ideas much the same way as we do over here. So we're very excited to have both of them on board and hope to slowly build our community with such men and women who believe in our ethos and want to be a part of this family. Now, we just want to remind you that we're still recruiting, and if you feel that you want to be a part of our Feminism India community, do drop us a mail to mail@desioutsiders.com. And don't forget to attach a sample piece for us to review before getting back to you. And if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, guess what? We are there too. So do follow us at the Desi Outsiders and show us your support.
Please and thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
So now that we've been talking about Feminism India so much, and we've also been discussing the latest additions to our family, you might remember that 2 weeks ago we introduced Ranjita and Simran to all our listeners. Yesterday, Ranjita released a mind-blowing piece called Feminism, Not Fascism, which basically sets some ideas and concepts straight by dumbing things down and explaining the basic meaning behind these words, which are used to describe the isms we tend to use today. So for example, who is a feminist? Who is a sexist? And what's the difference between a feminist and an equalist? We don't want to spoil the article for you, so we will be leaving a link to it in the show notes. You can also find it by checking out our Facebook page at Feminism India.
Yeah, and after reading her article and getting our minds blown, Meenal and I decided that we have to record this episode where, first of all, we want to take an excerpt from Ranjita's article to explain the basic meaning of the term feminism. And then we want to describe just about 2 or 3 scenarios. Actually, I'm lying. We're going to describe 5 whole scenarios. Yeah, 5 scenarios that we as Desis have seen growing up where feminism needed to be applied but never did. So, as I said, we're going to start off by quoting Ranjita directly from her piece and describe the term feminism. This is what she says. Feminism is an umbrella term for all movements that attempt to work towards the achievement of equal political, social, cultural, economic rights for all sexes. In a way, the term feminism is organic, such that it can involve equal rights in any sphere.
Along the same lines, a feminist is anyone who believes and works towards equal rights of all sexes.
So the good news or the bad news for some is that you might be a feminist whether you recognize yourself as one or not.
So to put it simply, human beings are Homo sapiens, whether we agree or disagree to voluntarily call ourselves that. A lot of people seem to shy away from these terms because they feel that using them makes them come across as being extremists. But we want to bring you the true angle of feminism, which eradicates all these misconceptions and only aims to unite people.
That's why we went on such a big academic rant. And now that that heavy topic is out of the way, we want to go into a few scenarios in Desi homes and classrooms that we both have personally come across and can personally relate to. These are situations in which all the people involved should have been schooled about feminism, because had they been educated in the right way, these situations could have been completely avoided.
So here's one scenario, and I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people have come across this. So let's say a little boy gets punished more than a little girl for the same offense. This is a reality in schools and homes of our own country. So I just want to remind you, we're talking about feminism, but we're also just saying that the boy is getting punished more than the girl. So we're
and actually, that's for the same offense.
Yeah, so we're talking about inequality to the boy over here.
Yeah.
So you forget to bring your textbook to class, and the punishment is write an imposition if you're a girl, but leave the classroom if you're a boy. I don't know if the assumption is that girls cannot take a punishment or that boys are stronger than girls. But either way, if the teacher was a feminist, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And once again, we just want to make it clear that equality in feminism is about treating everyone right. It's about treating everyone the right way or in an equal way.
That's the basic concept of it. And of course, it started off with inequality to women. And that's why the term is feminism. But ultimately, as a society of feminists, it's all about equality to men and women.
Now that you mentioned this, I remember personally, in our class, sometimes boys were given beatings with steel rulers. But girls were just asked to write an imposition or just get out of class.
So you went through this as well?
Yeah, I went through this. So I can relate to it, to what you just said. And it's a reality. And here, if the teacher was a feminist, actually, the boys wouldn't have had to go through more punishment and the girls wouldn't have escaped punishment simply because they were of different genders or sexes. Similarly, speaking of little boys and girls, here's another situation that comes to mind. Little boys are sometimes rebuked for playing with their sisters' dolls. Now, why can't a boy have fair and equal access to all the toys in the house? Sometimes, similarly, girls are also rebuked for playing with their brothers' cricket bats and badminton
I had that problem a lot.
Oh, poor Barb. Yeah, but it's more common when you see a little boy asking or demanding to be bought a Barbie in a store. These toys, I believe, are for kids, and everyone knows that kids should be taught to share. So what are parents trying to achieve by segregating toys for the sexes? If the parents in each and every household are feminists, then both kids would be allowed to play with all the toys in the house, and there would be no need to segregate your toys based on gender or sex.
So these are scenarios when children are younger. A lot of the times we grow up and we see that boys can be denied further education at a university of his choice because his parents need to be able to afford his sister's wedding. And that one issue right there is wrong on so many levels, because one would wonder that if the sister even asked for further education, the possibility that she might not have even considered it is in itself quite a scary situation to think about. Because then it only means that the family as a whole thinks that getting a daughter married is the most important thing in the world. And actually, Ankita, I'm just going to stop there because I've also seen that girls are told to get degrees. And I don't know, in India you have some degrees which you can do at home as well. I don't know what you correspondence, I think?
Yeah, correspondence courses.
So families just say, do your correspondence, just stay at home, get a degree, and you'll have that certificate. And then we'll get you married.
Yeah. So the end goal is always marriage.
The end goal is always marriage, and they just want that piece of paper to show people that my daughter went to college. Or
she's not. There's a difference between her and a cow. She has a degree. She knows how to read.
She knows how to read a book.
She knows how to read a book.
So, all because society is watching them and they're scared of the judgment being made, people believe that getting their daughter married is the most important thing in the world. And this is what leads to another generation of women who think that marriage is the end goal of their existence, and men who think that getting their sisters and daughters married is the only thing that'll earn them respect in the society. So this whole idea is just a cycle. You're raised as a brother and you feel like you have to take care of your sister. You grow up, you get married, and you implement these same ideas in your own family, to your own daughters, to your own wife. And it's just a vicious cycle that continues. And it can only really be broken if one person in that cycle just takes a stand and steps out and says, I don't want to be a part of this.
This is so common now that you mention it. I was just remembering the faces of so many girls that I personally know of, because I went to a girls' college and I had like 50 girls studying with me. So many of them, I'm not saying that it was wrong of them to get married because, hey, I'm a married woman myself, but a lot of them thought that the end goal in their life is to have a husband someday and to have kids. And getting married and planning for the wedding, this was like the most important thing. And there have been families where brothers, even if they're dating someone or even if they have a job and they're ready to settle down, they avoid settling down because they first need to get their sisters married.
Really?
Yeah, the sister even if the sister is younger in the house, the younger daughter or the daughter of the family has to be settled down. before the son decides to settle down in life. So this is such a common thing, and we feel that boys being denied education because the parents need money to be able to get the sister married off or to pay her dowry, all of this is just ridiculous.
But then again, you see, Ankita, it's not just like how the woman is treated here, it's also how the boy is treated by the family.
Especially how the boy is treated. Even if the boy brings a girl home and says, I want to settle down, parents are most likely to say, what about your sister then? If you're getting married to a girl from another community?
That's the thing, we're talking about equality. Treat the guy right, let the guy do whatever he wants in his life, and do the same with the daughter.
I think the next thing we should talk about is what happens in modern workspaces. And Meena, are you aware that in most Indian workspaces, people are not really aware of the concept of paternity leave?
In India, yeah. But for us, it's a very common thing.
It's a very common thing.
If people find out that a man's wife is about
Pregnant.
to give birth or whatever, the first thing they ask is, oh, so when is your paternity leave?
Yeah, paternity leave over here is a very common concept, and I believe that in India, it is catching up in some workspaces, but in most modern workspaces in India, nobody talks about paternity leave. So whether it's because nobody feels that a father shares equal responsibility in caring for the infant that he did physically help bring into this world, or because people feel that a father is not as important to an infant as a mother is, I don't know. I just feel that it's wrong. I don't know what people are thinking when they think that the father does not need to be around his newborn infant. But I feel that a feminist workspace would cater to the needs of fathers in order to care for their own newborn babies as well.
Yeah, and again, it's the same thing that we're actually talking about men's rights here.
Yeah.
And it's but that's the whole point I want to put across, that feminism is about creating equal rights for everyone.
It's quite important for us to spell it out, that equality does not just mean that women have to be treated right. We feel that men need to be treated right as well.
And it comes under the umbrella of equality. One branch of equality is feminism. This is why we keep reminding all of you guys that we're talking about men and women alike.
Yeah.
So Ankita, just this last point, I think you raised this concern with me. We were speaking about how women who go through a divorce, the things that they have to go through, or even women who have had multiple partners in the past, they are usually stamped with the term slut. Sorry for the derogative word, but that's just the reality, unfortunately. And boys will usually escape with remarks like, well, boys will be boys. And even when women go through a divorce, they go through a lot of scrutiny because fingers are pointed at the women for breaking a family or not being capable of sustaining a marriage. And women are seen in our society as figures who glue families together. They feel like it's only the responsibility of a woman, when in fact it isn't. There's two people in the relationship and there's two people in the marriage. But when most men go through a divorce, from what I've seen at least, it drives a reaction of, well, we can just get him married again. It seems like it's easier for a man to get remarried than easier for a woman to get remarried, because women are stamped with the terms like slut or not capable of maintaining a family, whereas men have it a lot easier. And so this is a case where we're fighting for equal rights for the women. In the others, we talked a lot about fighting for rights.
I actually like the fact that we have 5 points and the first 4 were all about, can you not treat the boys so bad?
Yeah, and now we're like, can you just help us?
Can you help the women and stop slut shaming them?
Yeah, so that's the whole idea, that feminism is equality to men and women. Women should be treating men the right way. Men should be treating women the right way.
So we hope you found this episode both educational and also relatable, because we are never surprised to hear about these situations that we mentioned above. And since we are almost certain that you have your own stories to share with us on the subject, we'd like to request you to please send them in so that we can discuss them in a future episode. You can either drop us a mail to mail@desioutsiders.com or send us a direct message on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter on the handle @the Desi Outsiders. And until next Thursday or Tuesday, if you follow us on YouTube, I'm Ankita.
And I'm Meenal.
And we are the Desi Outsiders.